Gerontocratic leadership in 21st century geopolitics. In every era, the distribution of political power reflects deeper truths about societies: who is trusted to lead, who is excluded, and how authority is maintained. In the 21st century, our paradox is striking. While we celebrate youth, innovation, and rapid technological change, many of the world's most powerful states are governed by elder leaders whose longevity shapes both domestic politics and global order. This is what I call the age of gerontocracy in geopolitics, a system in which power is concentrated in leaders in their 70s, 80s, or beyond. His political instincts were forged during the Cold War and post colonial struggles, and whose governance often collides with the demands of today's interconnected, youthful, and rapidly changing societies. Gerontocracy in practice. Consider the global landscape. In the United States, President Joe Biden and President Donald Trump, both in their 70s and 80s, exemplify the tension between an electorate seeking renewal and leadership rooted in decades past. In Russia, Vladimir Putin has re engineered institutions to extend his rule, centralizing authority while eroding democratic checks. In China, Xi Jinping, though younger, consolidates power in a manner that mimics gerontocratic performance. In Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu remains central at 75 despite legal challenges and public protest. Africa and the Middle East offer the most extreme cases. Paul Biya of Cameroon, born 1933, has ruled since 1982. Yoweri Museveni of Uganda, born 1944, removed constitutional age limits to prolong his tenure. Robert Mugabe governed Zimbabwe until age 93, and Hosni Mubarak held Egypt for 3 decades until the Arab Spring in 2011. Mechanisms of longevity. These leaders do not merely persist by luck, they reshape institutions to ensure indefinite rule. Their methods are remarkably consistent: constitutional manipulation, removing term and age limits, such in the case of Uganda or Russia; media control, suppressing independent reporting, such in the case of Cameroon or Turkey; electoral interference, marginalizing opposition parties, such in the case of Zimbabwe and Egypt; civil society suppression, banning NGOs and criminalizing protest. Through these strategies, gerontocrats erode the democratic consensus that has defined the post war and post Cold War order, one emphasizing transparency, accountability, and generational renewal. Reversing global norms. Beyond domestic politics, gerontocratic leadership often reverses decades of international consensus. Consensus in human rights, once central to legitimacy, are subordinated to security or ideology. International law is openly flouted. Putin's invasion of Ukraine exemplifies a blatant rejection of United Nations norms. Global trade is weaponized through tariffs and unilateralism, undermining interdependence, such as in the case of Trump era policies or the Brexit in the United Kingdom. Climate change is downplayed or denied by leaders unwilling to sacrifice short-term gains, such in the case of Trump, Putin, Netanyahu. In each case, gerontocratic leaders prioritize personal legacy and survival over cooperation, sustainability, and multilateralism. Generational tensions. Age alone is not the problem. Elder leaders like Nelson Mandela or Mahathir Mohamad govern wisely at advanced ages. The danger arises when age coincides with personalist entrenchment and resistance to generational renewal. In countries with median ages under 20, such as many in Africa and the Middle East, the presence of octogenarians ruling indefinitely fuels alienation and protest. Inglehart's research shows that older leaders emphasize sovereignty and security, whereas younger cohorts prioritize post material concerns such as equality, climate and human rights. This disconnect exacerbates instability and delegitimizes gerontocratic rule. Geopolitical risks. The persistence of gerontocracy poses at least three major risks to the international system. One is succession crisis, when leaders like Mbiya or Museveni or eventually leave office. Weak institutions heighten the risk of instability or conflict. Norm erosion, by undermining democracy and flouting international law, gerontocrats weaken global norms and embolden other authoritarian actors. And three, generational backlash. Digitally connected youth may reject both individual rulers and entire regimes, destabilizing societies. These risks underscore the paradox of our age. A world defined by speed, connectivity, and youth is often governed by those whose experiences belong to a different era. In conclusion, gerontocracy is not merely about biological age. It is power preserved through institutional manipulation, suppression of transparency, and reversal of democratic and international norms. Leaders like Villa, Museveni, Putin, Trump, and Netanyahu demonstrate how longevity in office is achieved not by merit, but by weakening the very structures that ensure accountability. As scholars, our task is to ask hard questions. What happens when the political imagination of the past collides with the demands of the future? How long can societies tolerate leaders who refuse to relinquish authority? And what kind of world will emerge when generational renewal finally asserts itself? The stakes are immense. In the hands of these elder leaders lies not only the fate of their nations, but the trajectory of the international system, the resilience of democratic norms, and the credibility of global governance. Understanding gerontocracy, therefore, is essential not only for political science, but for anticipating the future of world order. Thank you.